Tonight, either the Harrisburg Bulldogs or the Schaumburg Saxons will carry the trophy home as the AA champions. Sports Channel proudly presents our continuing coverage of the Illinois High School Association Championship Series. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Passion, along with Mike McDonald, the former head coach of the champions of '84 from Morton High School. He's still head coach there and had the unique opportunity to play in this series as a student at Pekin High School in 1964. So you know, Mike, it takes a well-balanced ball club to get to the game and to come away with the biggest trophy of all.
Yes, it was quite an experience.
Is this an opportunity you think that these two ball clubs have very similar characteristics, that well-balanced defense, pitching, and very timely hitting?
They're very similar ball clubs. They both do not have a lot of power, but they are basically singles hitters. They will run when they have the opportunity. They like to bunt, sacrifice runners into position. Their pitching has been used throughout the tournament, and I think this year, or in this ball game right here, we're going to see it's going to be dependent on a good defense.
And of course, the team doesn't get into the championship series without first winning the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and the two Bergs have done that too.
Yeah, Schaumburg defeated Clemente 7-4, and Harrisburg defeated Galesburg 5-3.
And of course, in this year's tournament, there's a consolation bracket where the third and fourth place trophies are played for. The fourth place trophy was won by the Chicago Public League champions from Clemente High and Coach Rich Tom Leone, while the third place trophy went to the defending champions of last year, the Streaks of Galesburg, who won 13-3 over Clemente. It should be a dandy of an evening. We got the Springfield Municipal Band playing up in the background, and a beautiful evening for championship baseball.
It's going to be a great night.
And we'll be back with the starting lineups and the first pitch of today's Class AA High School Baseball Championship from Springfield between Harrisburg and Schaumburg after these messages. From Lanphier Park in Springfield on a cool, sunny evening with the wind just slightly blowing, breezing out toward the right center field fence, the Schaumburg Saxons take on the Harrisburg Bulldogs for the Class AA Illinois Baseball Championship. Joe Passion along with Mike McDonald, and it should be a dandy of a ball club as we first look at the visiting team lineup, the ball club that will get a first chance to bat up against Harrisburg. And the Schaumburg Saxons, 25-10 on the season, who did not win their conference champions but are here for the state title. Greg Newman, the catcher, will lead off, followed by the center fielder, Tim Litwin, and the third batter will be the second baseman, Jim McComb. Juan Reyes will be the cleanup hitter and playing first base, followed by Troy Smith, the right fielder, Jeff Schultz out in left field. Tom Granzinger, who pitched the semifinal win, will be the DH here in the championship game. The third baseman, Ryan McCoy, bats eighth, and Greg Schultz will be the shortstop and batting ninth. The pitcher for today's game for the Harrisburg Bulldogs, 31-1 on the year, will be Brian Dubois. In the Mid-Suburban League, that they did not even win their conference champion, and yet, Mike, here they are in the championship game, the championship that really counts on the whole year. And Greg Newman, the catcher, will lead it off.
It's a credit to their conference to be here 4 years in a row.
Barrington of Coach Kirby Smith and his Broncos, who won the tournament championship for Class AA 4 years ago, were in the championship game 3 years straight preceding this one. And here's another Mid-Suburban League team from Schaumburg. Newman batting .328 on the year with 3 homers and 23 RBIs. A lefty against a lefty. The delivery from Bebout, and it gets ahead of the hitter at 1-2.
Yeah, real nice movement on his fastball early in the ball game. His curveball, he's not really pulling down as of yet.
Misses a little outside. Bebout this year on the mound for Harrisburg has pitched 72 innings coming into the tournament, giving up 43 hits, 15 earned runs, has walked 24 batters, but has struck out 97 batters in those 72 innings, and make it another K for Brian Bebout as he strikes out Greg Newman to open up the first. And you can imagine Newman was a little surprised by that heat coming in and coming right inside and went whizzing right by him.
He's, he started out throwing early, in the tournament, and it's surprised he's coming back with that much velocity on the ball.
Here's Tim Litwin, the center fielder for the Saxons, also a left-handed hitter, and on the year, Litwin batting .330 with 11 RBIs, has yet to hit a dinger, but anything can happen in these championship games. A little high and tight to the hitter, and the count goes 2-0 on Tim Litwin. The 2-0 delivery and a called strike right at the belt. The pitcher this year, Brian B. Bout, has been a young man who has not had to go a lot of innings this year for Harrisburg, but when he has, he's been very effective by his 12-0 record. You can figure that one out. Little popper left side will stray a bit fair, but the third baseman for Harrisburg takes it in foul territory. Nice catch there by Jamie Hayes. That'll retire Litwin. He goes back to the dugout, and coming out to get his shot at the plate will be Jim McComb. And Litwin may have pulled something there, Mike. He came limping back into the dugout there and is being assisted by one of the trainers sitting down on the bench behind his teammates, and he seems to be limping a bit. Here's teammate Jim McComb, the second baseman for Schaumburg. McComb batting .381 on the year, no dingers, but 21 RBIs.
He's done a real nice job at second base for him this year, and in this tournament he's having a good defensive game for them.
Schaumburg has had 2 big winning streaks thus far this year. They won 9 in a row early in the season to bring their record to 10-2. After that, they had losing streaks of 3 and 4 games, but then got back on the winning trail about 11 games ago. They have won 11 in a row coming into this game here tonight. The 0-2 count with 2 outs here in the top of the first, and it's a called strike 3, and Bebout sprints back to the dugout with that bulldog enthusiasm he showed on the mound. No runs, no hits, no errors in the top of the first. Harrisburg coming up. We'll be back. For the 10th year, Lanphier Park, the home of the Class AA and Class A championships. And here in the top of the first of the AA final this year, another strikeout. This time Jim McComb is the guy who went after that, and he may have swung at it. Either way, it's on the inside corner of the plate. Home plate umpire John Korchin calls it a strike 3. And so it'll be Schaumburg's turn to go out in the defense, and the lineup for the Harrisburg Bulldogs, who have lost only to Mount Vernon once this year. Sean Pinkleton, their big hitter, the center fielder, will lead off. He's also their home run hitter. Brandon Joggers, the second baseman, will bat second, followed by Jason Butler, the right fielder. Jamie Hayes is the cleanup hitter, playing third base. Robbie Nichols, the catcher, will bat fifth, followed by Ray Graham, the first baseman. Brian Ziegler, the shortstop. Blake Wilson, the left fielder, and Ryan McGowan, the DH. The pitcher for the Schaumburg Saxons, number 26, Rob Cerny, just 2-2 on the year, 2.62. Gives kind of a Rick Russell look, and we'll see if he does it on the mound. And Pinkleton tried to bunt the first pitch, but into the screen behind home plate. Sean this year batting .539. He leads the ball club in that category and also leads the ball club in power with 8 home runs and 38 RBIs. Don't let his size fool you. The kid can hit. Pinkleton only 5'7", but he's a senior, and he hits a long drive to left center, but the left fielder is right underneath it. Jeff Schultz makes the catch for the Saxons, and that's one away in the bottom of the first.
Sean Pinkleton, he's a very fine ball player. His coach Thompson talked about him. They're going to possibly do some bunting, and he showed that right there early, so it's going to be an exciting ball game today.
Here's Brandon Joggers, the second baseman for the Bulldogs. .394 hitter, 1 dinger, 22 RBIs, and he swings and misses at the first pitch from Cerny. Cerny this year, the Schaumburg pitcher, has only pitched 32 innings, mostly in relief roles, but every time he's been out there, he has been effective. And then he gets another pitch for a strike. The smoke, by the way, in your screen is coming from the grill below the stand, so don't be alarmed, folks. It's just those famous steak sandwiches and cheeseburgers and bratwurst coming out of Lanphier Park. Here's Cerny's 0-2 delivery, misses outside for a 1-2 count. Cerny's ERA is 2.62 in 32 innings, has given up 32 hits, 19 runs, 12 of those earned, 5 doubles, 2 triples, and 2 home runs, has walked only 7. And a line shot to the shortstop. For out number 2, as Brandon Joggers really hit hard, but the shortstop, Greg Schultz, was right there to make the play. So the Schultz brothers have made the putouts here for Schaumburg in the bottom of the first as Joggers lines out to short, bringing up Jason Butler, the right fielder and a left-handed hitter against the righty Cerny. And he hits it to Schultz at short on the 2-hopper. The 6-3 put out, and we're out of the inning. 1, 2, 3 in both inning halves of the first. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. We go to the top of the second. No score in the Class AA championship from Springfield. No score as we go to the second between Harrisburg and Schaumburg, with the Saxons of Schaumburg coming up, and this is not an easy team to beat. We asked Jay Thompson, how do you beat a Schaumburg team? And he had a pretty good idea. You do it with balance, and that's something they've been doing all season long.
Well, our pitching has to keep us in a ball game. We're a little short on pitching. Our kids are a little tired, but we hope to get 2 or 3 innings out of every one of them, and if we can do that, we'll be right in a ball game. I think our kids are relaxed, and I think they're going to swing the bats better tonight than we have for the prior 2 games in the tournament. So we're excited, we're ready to play, and I like our chances tonight.
All right, Jay Thompson, the head baseball coach in his 8th year for Southern Illinois Harris Bulldogs out of the South 7 Conference. They've won 4 South 7 titles, Mike, in the last 8 years. A lot of credit to Jay Thompson and his assistant, Fred Barnes. Opening up the top of the second, Juan Reyes hit by a pitch, and I notice every time a batter is hit by a pitch on the high school tournament here that the umpire's right down the line. It's something you don't see in the major leagues often enough.
Well, it's interesting to see that he jumps out there, and watching this pitch here, it's inside fastball, tails into the hitter, couldn't get out of the way, and they're trying to protect us, and so nothing will happen.
So the second batter here in the inning with the runner now on base is Troy Smith, the right fielder for Schaumburg, hitting just under 300 at 290, 1 homer, 23 RBIs, and the Harrisburg pitcher, Brian Bebout, missing outside, goes to 1-0.
You're going to see the bunting game. He told us that, today when we talked with him, we're going to see a lot of bunts. Trying to move the ball and make the defense make the play.
And there is the bunt down the line. Third baseman quickly gets the hitter, but he does his job, sacrificing Reyes over to second base. Sacrifice bunt by Troy Smith. Reyes over at second, and he laid this down pretty nicely, Mike.
Yes, if you notice the defense, they kept the first baseman back, and he did not charge him. They covered second with the second baseman. Ideally, the bunt should have come to the right side of the infield, so he could try to move the runner over on the bunt all the way to third.
Jamie Hayes, the Harrisburg third baseman, doing a nice job on that, and pulled in here against hitter Jeff Schultz. One of the Schultz brothers, Jeff's the one out in left field, and he's an interesting story, too. We'll tell you more about the Schultz brothers and how they have really shown quite a bit of competitiveness. I think they get that from their dad, David, who was over here with us earlier talking about how proud he is of his sons. And, we have already had a chance to talk to many of the fathers of these sons, and, boy, they just come out here beaming. They seem more nervous than the coaches.
Definitely.
The 1-0 delivery, line shot in the right. Right fielder playing shallow and placed that ball perfectly. Harrisburg right fielder Jason Butler was playing shallow, only had to take a few strides in to bring down that line drive off the bat of Jeff Schultz, and that's 2 away. Reyes stays over at second, and watch the right fielder play this ball so well.
The hitter goes well, goes with the pitch to right field, takes it to right, but like you said, the defense is played properly, and he makes a routine play out of it.
Nice job out there in right by Jason Butler, and now it's DH Tom Granzinger's time. And he looks at a strike 1 call. Reyes over at second base. He wants his hitter to move him along out there, and his hitter, Tom Granzinger, is the one that can do it. He's hit .306, 2 homers with 21 RBIs. The 0-1 delivery from Bebout. missing high, evening the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Third baseman playing even with the bag. The rest of the outfield a bit straight away, except the shortstop, who leaning in on the runner up high on your screen. And they go back over to second, but Reyes is back in time. Mike, you've had, of course, a chance coaching at Morton to put in specific plays, especially with the runner aboard second. With 2 outs, do you go with it a lot, as in this case?
No, not here. I wouldn't. Not with 2 outs, and we're just going to play the solid defense so we don't leave any gaps or holes in the infield.
The 1-1 delivery just misses the outside corner of the plate, and it goes 2-1. 2 outs here in the top of the second. No score between the 2 Bergs from opposite ends of the state, but they meet in the middle to get the top. The top prize in Class AA baseball in Illinois. Schaumburg and Harrisburg. A swing and a miss is the Harrisburg pitcher, Brian Bebout, who throws a lot of junk. And this kid, though, throws them effectively. Bebout, who is his own manager, Jay Thompson, told us he throws junk. Lots of junk. He's going to open up a junkyard when he gets out of high school. And he said that with all due respect and a big smile because he's very effective. He gets the heater, though, that comes in and sneaks in on the inside corner of the plate. In the second, no runs, no hits. A man left on for Schaumburg, and we go to the bottom of the second. Still no score between the Dogs and the Saxons. We go to the bottom of the second. No score here in the Class AA championship baseball game from Springfield. With Harrisburg coming up, Harrisburg has lost only once this year, only to Mount Vernon. So, of course, the obvious question is Schaumburg coach Paul Groot is, hey, how do you beat a ball club that's only lost once?
Well, I think that we have to do what we've been successful at all year, and that's stay away from the walks and not give teams 4 and 5 outs. They're a fine hitting ball club, and we've got our number 3 going tonight, and he has not had many starts, so he's got to throw strikes. And our defense has played well up to now. There's really what's got us here tonight. If they make the routine plays and we stay away from the walks, I think we can play with this club.
Well, Mike McDonald, it's interesting, both coaches almost giving word-for-word answers on that same question. Because they're both so well-balanced, even their coaches sound alike.
It's true. You know, the ball clubs are, I'd say, identical, and that's why this is going to be an exciting championship ball game tonight.
Leading off the bottom of the second, cleanup hitter Jamie Hayes, number 9 in your lineup, or number 9 in your program, number 4 in your lineup, and quite a hitter, batting .356 with 2 homers and 39 RBIs. Hits a little chopper to second baseman. He comes up, and Jim McComb fields the ball well for the 4-3 putout. And Jamie Hayes back to the dugout as he opens the second with a ground out to second.
Looked like he got jammed. He kept his hands inside on that pitch and topped the ball and hit a 2-hopper to the second baseman for the putout.
That'll bring up Robbie Nichols, the catcher. And he looks at a strike 1 call. Nichols on the year batting .418 with 4 dingers and 34 RBIs. Powerful right-handed hitter. The third base coach, who is an interesting one, Jay Thompson, same socks, same gym shorts, same undershirt, washes them every day, very superstitious. In fact, he even ties a knot in that right shoe. He double ties it on the suspicious sort on that right shoe. And in fact, he buys baseball cards before every game, and very superstitious young man. Only 30 years old and married as a couple of twins, as a pair of twins, a boy and a girl, and his wife is out here, and so it's a big family affair at the Thompson house. I wonder if he gets that from his twins, because he dresses them alike too. The 2-2 delivery, a swing and a miss, and strikeout number 1 for Rob Cerny as Robbie Nichols goes back to the dugout, and Cerny with the big K there, his first of the game. He just threw heat there, Mike.
Yes, he did. He threw it by him, and that, you know, like we said, you know, if these pitchers can hang in there and get the ball over the plate, it's going to be a quick ball game, and we're going to see a lot of good defensive plays, and it's going to be an exciting ball game.
The hitter for the Bulldogs, Ray Graham, the first baseman. Graham batting .290 with 15 RBIs. We've yet to have a hit in this ball game. We're in the bottom of the second. No score. Schaumburg up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, out by the Woodfield Mall. I know all of you viewers out there are familiar with walking through those gallon hallways. A shot to the second baseman, and again Jim McComb makes the 4-3 putout, and again for the second inning in a row. The Bulldogs go down 1-2-3 in order. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. We go to the top of the third. It'll be the 8, 9, and leadoff hitters for the Saxons. Still no score. The Schaumburg Saxons have been fortified by a nice crowd all week long here during the tournament, and they're still out here because the Schaumburg Saxons are still very much alive here in the championship game. And hey, Harrisburg brought the whole town of 10,000 down here for this one too. Man, the whole Saline County seems to be down here in the purple and white of the Harris Bulldogs, rooting on their dogs. In fact, I'll tell you, the Saxons, as they approach the top of the third here and looking for their first hit of the game, are a team that may have lost 10 this year, Mike, but it seems like they got hot at the right time for the end of the regular season, carried it into the Schaumburg Regional, beating Conant, Percy, Lake Zurich, and Fremd, and then won the tough Barrington Sectional over Larkin of Elgin and Libertyville. And leadoff hitter Ryan McCoy hits a shot to the third baseman, and a great play at first for the out. You won't see that in the score sheet other than a 5-3 putout, but for those of you who just saw that, a great throw from the third baseman, Jamie Hayes.
He knocks the ball down at third. He tried to backhand. He makes a throw, pulls the first baseman off just a hair, but he makes the putout with the tag. It was a good job by the first baseman. Nice play.
And great camera work out there, getting that play at first base, and there's a good look at the third baseman, Jamie Hayes. He's made 3 good plays already early in this game. The number 9 hitter in the Saxon order, Greg Schultz, the shortstop, batting .158. No homers, 7 RBIs, but he's been very tough for them out on the field. The younger brother of left fielder Jeff Schultz. Outside for a ball, 3-0, and this is the first time, Mike, that we have seen Bebout get behind 3-0 on a hitter here, and we'll see what kind of guts he's got here and what he's going to come with.
I'm going to say he has to come back with the fastball to try to get one pitch at a time, work back to get the hitter on 3 straight consecutive. I'm assuming he'll throw 3 consecutive fastballs to try to get him out.
Misses low on the fastball, and the first walk of the ball game. Greg Schultz gets the base on balls, and the second base runner for the Saxons. Coming up to the bat for the second time today, Greg Newman. Newman struck out his first time at bat, but his first time at bat he didn't have a runner on base. Left-hander will go back to first, and the runner is back in time. Mike, when you're teaching a high school kid a southpaw, we'll use in this case, because Bebout, of course, is a lefty, on his move, what do you ask them to concentrate on? Obviously, he did a nice job of it there. They get the runner off, and in the rundown, 1-3-4 putout.
We look a lot of times at the upper body, you know. A left-hander, when he goes to first, he'll rock his body back and come to first, and he'll also bring his front shoulder, which will be his right shoulder, towards first base.
A good move on the mound by Bebout, and the infielders handle it like they've been practicing it all year, and I'm sure they have. So Newman now faces a 2-out situation, and nobody on, and a called strike 1.
You know, as a runner on the pickoff at first base, on the left-hander, first movement, if you're stealing, you go on first movement.
Swing and a miss, a big swing, but strike two, 1-2 to count. You know, Bebout, who supposedly just sticks with the curve, the changeup, and throws in a low fastball about 75 miles an hour, has really been throwing a lot of heat in these first 3 innings, Mike.
You know, he looks good. He looks strong coming into this ball game throwing tonight. If he can continue this, it's going to be a long night for Schaumburg.
On deck is Tim Litwin. He's hoping he'll get a chance as the pitcher, Bebout, hopes he won't give him one. And right back here above us in the press box area, Greg Newman out of Campanile Junior High School also plays basketball and in a boys volleyball league. So he's an active young man and also on the B honor roll, so a solid student. Up high for ball, and it evens the count at 2 on the boards. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs. We're in the top of the third. No score between Harrisburg and Schaumburg as Harrisburg pitcher Brian Bebout, 12-0 on the year with a 1.46 ERA. Delivers the 2-2 count, and it's outside and brings it full 3-2. Newman looking at a full count here, and he gets the walk. 2 base on balls this inning, given up by the Harrisburg pitcher, and Newman's on first, but after Greg Schultz was caught off first in a rundown on a nice pickoff move by Bebout. The young man you're looking at, number 19, Greg Schultz, will be the only runner on right now, and it's up to Bebout to do the job he did last time or do the job on this young man, Tim Litwin. Litwin popped out to foul territory to the third baseman Hayes his last time up, and he goes to first. The runner is back in time. Quick throw, and there you see the 2 different styles of the pickoff move, Mike.
Yeah, that's where he just steps off. He makes a quick throw, snap throw to first base. It's a little hard to do, but it's sometimes tricky and good enough to pick somebody off.
1-0 the count, 2 outs. Litwin out of Dixon Junior High, a football and soccer athlete. Could move over the first, but as you can imagine, Newman is very aware by now of that good move, and he's staying close to home.
They're going to be a little cautious now that they got somebody picked off early, so they've seen his good move.
This is outside. 2-0 the count. Another one of the many honor roll students on this Schaumburg team is the hitter, Tim Litwin. Not only an all-conference baseball player last year and this year, all-area this year, and honor roll this year. Shot down the left field line is foul. Bill Laudy down there, the left field line, making the easy call. So back over to first base. Greg Newman getting a little bit of a workout.
I look for him that he might, they may try a hit and run here. It's a good count for a hit and run, 2-1. 2-1 count, 2 balls, 1 strike. He may be running on this pitch here because the pitcher's got to come in. He doesn't want to go any further with the hitter, and he'll try to throw a strike here.
There goes the runner and the throw, and he's going to be safe. Good backup by the second baseman as the ball skips past the shortstop, and Greg Newman with a stolen base over at second.
He gets a nice jump on this play here. And the throw is just a little bit late.
So with a 3-1 count on Tim Litwin and a runner over at second, 2 outs here in the top of the third, no score. Still looking for the first hit of the game. Fly ball, shallow center, but coming in quickly to make the catch is Sean Pilkington, and that retires the side in the top of the third. For the Saxons, no runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left. And we'll be back with the bottom of the third. The skies a picturesque shot over central Illinois and a cool, breezy evening over Lanphier Park in Springfield as the Class AA championship and a week of baseball coming to a close. The two Bergs from opposite ends of the state will be here as the Bulldogs head coach, Jay Thompson, his ball club here in the championship series for the first time in school history. And Jay just talking over there with the third base umpire, Charles Williford of Lisle, just chewing some tobacco. That's another habit that Thompson has. Keeps his hands there in the back pocket. He's got all those superstitions. Now, Mike, you didn't have any superstitions when your ball club from Morton won the championship here in '84, did you?
Sure did. They kept telling me that, and I always do this. I run out, when I come in the coach's box, I go to third base, and I kick it a couple times, and then go back to coach's box, and everybody keeps telling me, you know, I always do it, and I don't even realize it half the time.
So you didn't mind that your toes hurt after that series?
No, they didn't hurt. It felt good.
Leading off the bottom of the third will be the number 7 hitter, Brian Ziegler, the shortstop. Ziegler batting .322, 1 homer, 18 RBIs, and he hits a hard grounder to Schultz at short. Again, the good defensive glove and the 6-3 putout. Schultz has handled 3 as Ziegler goes down to open the third.
He topped the ball just a little bit, hit it up towards the middle, and Schultz came over and made a nice play, stayed down on the ball, and a nice throw to the first baseman. Fine athlete.
Here's Ryan McGowan, just a junior, one of the many football starters who is on this Harrisburg baseball team. In fact, almost all the starters and the 6th and 7th men from the Harrisburg basketball team are on this baseball team as well.
They have 5 three-sport athletes, which is, you know, not very common anymore. You don't see it. In the smaller schools you will, but the bigger schools you don't see the 3-sport athlete.
Well, you got to remember the enrollment difference between these two Class AA schools. While Harrisburg has an enrollment of 697 co-ed students, Schaumburg has nearly 2,500. A lot of kids to choose from, and that's quite a compliment for this Harrisburg program, getting to the finals for the first time with just under 700 kids in school. And I think almost all of them are here tonight.
and it's, you know, the Schaumburg school, you got that much more boys to choose from to select your ball club compared to, you know, Harrisburg.
And a called strike 3, the second K of the night for Schaumburg pitcher Rob Cerny in the Harrisburg dugout, waiting for that big inning. And both coaches were telling us earlier too, Mike, that as we take a look at Cerny getting some heat by Rhino McGowan. He couldn't do anything but look at that.
Yeah, I know it. That was a nice pitch on the inside corner.
Here's McGowan, Blake Wilson, the preceding batter who struck out. McGowan, the designated hitter, and the number 9 hitter in the order. Ryan McGowan batting .352 on the year, no homers, 8 RBIs.
Well, it looked like a nice pitch.
I'll tell you, Cerny has really showed some control, and you can see why a lot of the scouts out here that we were talking with earlier in the week say this kid reminds him of Rick Russell in stature as well as effectiveness here. A little chopper off the plate for a foul ball, and evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes against Ryan McGowan. Now, Mike, we saw a controversial call earlier in the week when a ball chopped off the plate and went fair. As you see, that one almost take his lid off.
Yeah, this one here hit the helmet coming up, and it was a dead ball immediately. A lot of times people think when the ball hits the plate, it is a foul ball, or hits behind the plate, it's a foul ball, but it's where the ball ends up. You know, if the ball rolls out in front of the plate, in between the lines between home and first, and stays in fair territory, it's going to be a fair ball if nobody has touched it. The
3-2 delivery, a high chopper to second, charging hard, and Making the 4-3 putout is Jim McComb. And so for the 3rd inning in a row, I don't know if we should say it yet, Mike, but Cerny's got a perfect game going through 3. This young man has done it perfectly through 3 innings, and we still have no score from Springfield. Well, the Schaumburg fans are whooping it up. They're looking for their first hit. Both pitchers throwing no-hitters here through 3 innings, and Schaumburg leading off the top of the 4th. And, well, I'll tell you, this head coach, Paul Groot, who was an assistant here for 4 years at Schaumburg, after 2 years as a grad assistant at Purdue, where he was an all-conference 3rd baseman at Purdue, where he got not only his master's but his bachelor. He was a captain in college and was nominated for the Red Mackey Award, which is a famous award on the Purdue campus for the best all-around athlete. And just to be nominated for that award is quite an honor. This guy just spills over with baseball.
He's a nice gentleman too. I met Paul several years ago, and he's just super individual.
The leadoff hitter for Schaumburg, Jim McComb, grounds out to the 2nd baseman to open up the inning. 1 away in the top of the 4th.
First baseman number 25, Juan Reyes.
Brian Bebout, senior. Another National Honor Society member, Brian Bebout, the pitcher here for Harrisburg. They call him the Rocket, and he'll face Juan Reyes outside.
Reyes was hit with the pitch last time up when Bebout threw an inside fastball that ran in on him. We'll see how he stands in there on this hitter, or on this pitcher.
Swings and misses, and maybe that's why they call Brian Bebout, the pitcher, Rocket. He threw one there just a moment ago.
Came in on the fastball, ran in on the fist of the hitter. I think you have to pitch this young man that way, inside.
And he gets the outside corner of the plate. He must have heard you, Coach. He put it right there on the black of that outside portion of the plate to this left-handed hitter, Ron Reyes. This time comes inside, and he catches him beautifully. Boy, has he got great placement on his pitches? Or
he does. He does. He set him up nice too. He ran the curveball away the pitch before, and then he come inside with the curveball and backed him off just a little bit.
Strikeout number 4 for Brian the Rocket Bebout, and Ron Reyes can't believe it as he goes back to the dugout. So Brian did a nice job on the hill for the Bulldogs, and he is pitching like one here in the 4th. Is yet to give up a hit. Here's Troy Smith, senior, 3-sport athlete, football, wrestler. He's an all-Chicago area athlete. They just gave him the usual nickname, Smitty. Didn't want to get too complex with Troy.
But he wants to go into, what, law enforcement, he said?
That's right. He wants to become a law officer. Troy batting .290 with 1 homer, 23 RBIs. So I guess in a few years, if we're driving through Schaumburg, we better abide by that speed limit. Little chopper in front of the plate, off the plate though, and it will be a foul ball and even the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes, and it may have come back and hit Troy.
He hit it right off his right leg.
Well, we'll see the ball bounce off the plate and come right back at Troy Smith.
Right on his foot.
Oh, does that sting or what?
Yes, it hurts. But he's a tough little scrapper. He'll be ready.
Oh, his favorite food is pizza, so I'm sure just a slice of pizza next to the championship trophy tonight will make that toe and its pain go away very quickly. Fouls it off into the Harrisburg portion of the stands, and Brian Bebout gets a new ball. You know, we've talked about the baseball here in this tournament, about the Rawlings baseball that is used in the IHSA finals for both Class A and Class AA. And the majority of high school coaches I've talked to, Mike McDonald, say they use the diamond baseball, seemingly a more livelier baseball. Diamond, the way the ball has been cracking out here during the week, one would not think so, but seems as though the Rawlings ball that is used here in the championship game has a little bit lower seam a little flatter, deader ball?
It's got a flat seam. It's a little tougher to throw the breaking ball. That's why sometimes you see them a little flat. But the diamond ball is a hard ball, and it does jump off the bat pretty good. But this ballpark does carry. It carries well for hitters. So that's why you're seeing some. Of course, we saw some in the semifinal games that went over the right field fence. Of course, the wind was blowing strong to right field.
Beautiful ballpark. Beautiful sight. In its 10th year. Another foul ball out. You know, this is the 50th anniversary of the Illinois High School Association statewide baseball championship series. And for the 10th year in a row now here at Springfield's Lanphier Park. Previously, it was held in Peoria, several ballparks, including Mining Field, most notably, back into the screen. And Troy really giving it a dive after he got that one off the toe. He said, well, if you're going to hit me in the toe, I'm going to come back and make you throw to me. And he's really doing a job on
he's hanging in there. He's taking, anything close to the plate. He's getting a piece up, fouling off, and waiting for Bebot to make the mistake and throw the pitch over where he can really put the bat on it solid.
The 2-2 delivery inside, and we'll go full. The beautiful ballpark has great dimensions, too. The third base line, 320 feet to the wall, 350 to the alleys. Another foul ball off the plate. Troy Smith limps off that one. I'll tell you, this kid is going to earn whatever he gets out of this one. He's got a smile on his face. He knows he's battling this pitcher.
Well, I tell you what's going to happen, too.
Same foot, Mike.
I know off his right foot, but what's happening, he's working that pitcher. He's making him throw a lot more pitches this inning, and that's going to take its toll coming down to the 6th and 7th inning of the ball game. So, this is something that you got to look for, is how many pitches is this pitcher throwing during the course of the ball game.
As we mentioned, 320 down the line, 350 in the short alley, 375 in the wide open alleys, and 415 to straightaway center here at Lanphier Park. Well, the one-on-one battle is won by Brian Bebout. He gets the strikeout, and that's Brian's 5th strikeout in 4 innings.
It was a 3-2 curveball.
The Schaumburg Saxons go down 1-2-3 in the top of the 4th. We go to the bottom of the 4th, top of the lineup. Coming up for the Bulldogs, still no score. Well, here's the strikeout that got a very feisty Troy Smith out there a moment ago, despite the drop ball. Harrisburg catcher Robbie Nichols makes sure that Troy Smith feels that ball on his body one more time, and for the out. We go to the bottom of the 4th at the beautiful confines of Lanphier Park. I'll tell you, those alleys are very big out there, and the outfielders have to have a lot of range, but extra base hits are often hit here at this tournament because of the alleys. 375 out in the alleys, 415 straightaway center field, 350 on the walls, and 320 down the line. And that might be a reason for the lack of offense in this ball game. This is the first game of the finals where nobody has scored in the first inning all week long. In all 8 Class A games and the first 7 Double-A games this week, somebody got on the board in the first inning. Thanks for some notes from Mike Deacon of the Daily Southtown Economist. Always filling us in, Those scribes got to do something with themselves as they're waiting for the post-game interviews.
It's nice to have those people around to give us the information.
Great people, a great group of reporters that come out and cover this tournament like a religion every year. Leading off for the Bulldogs, chopping one foul to the left side, the leadoff hitter, Sean Pinkleton. Pilkington is also a senior, 3-sport athlete, football and basketball, and he intends on going to play baseball.
He's had an outstanding season this year, and it's a shame that he hasn't got a commitment yet to some college to play some college baseball, because he can play.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the successful coach of the SIU Salukis, just down Route 13, I believe it is, down there in Southern Illinois, Itchy Jones, might bring this kid. He was the MVP of the Southern Illinois all-area baseball team, and he hits one right up the middle and breaks this no-hitter. Sean Pickleton, the leading hitter on this Harrisburg ball club, breaks up pitcher Rob Cerny's perfect game with a shot right up the middle.
You watch his swing. He's got a short, compact swing. It's nice. He hits the ball right up the middle. Solid, and he's got good wheels. So we might see something here. We might see a hit and run or a possible bunt in this situation.
Brandon Joggers will be the hitter for the Bulldogs with a runner aboard for the first time this evening for the Harrisburg Ball Club. Cerny with a nice easy toss over the first. And
talking with Coach Thompson with Joggers stuff here. Joggers is a man who will put the bat on the ball. He will hit the ball the right side. They may give Pilkington the chance to steal the base, and then by Joggers hitting the ball the right side, getting to third base with 1 out.
Another easy throw. Reyes covering the bag, and Cerny out on the plate. Joggers, one of the leading hitters on this ball club as well, batting just under 400, 394, has 1 homer to his credit. And this time he bunts it to the right of the mound. Cerny with the play, but throws it away. Ball down the right field line, and rounding third, he's going to come home. And down as the throw is up the right field line. Sean Pinkleton scores, and Brandon Joggers over at third. And the Harris Bulldogs are on the scoreboard. They lead 1-0 here in the fourth.
You watch, it's a nice sacrifice bunt to get Pilkington to second base, but the pitcher threw the ball, but he threw it short and into the dirt. He did not have position in the throwing. His feet weren't set, and therefore he threw it away, and it was a long way down that right field line before that right fielder could get to it.
And Pickleton really put on some speed, and you saw the throw come behind the plate and up the line a bit. And there's laughter in the Harrisburg Bulldog dugout as they lead the AA championship 1-0. Schaumburg, meanwhile, has a big powwow out on the mound. Paul Groot comes off, and Rob Cerny, the pitcher, straightens out that cap, sort of.
No, we mentioned about defense. The defense was going to be the key factor in this ball game, and right there, the bunting game makes you play defense. You have to be able to come up with the ball and make the play, and in that situation, unfortunately, Schaumburg didn't.
Jason Butler is the hitter. Butler, another senior, plays baseball all year long.
You know, in this situation here, I think they'll give Butler a chance to hit, and then if he doesn't, then they may try to squeeze the run home.
In fact, Butler was recruited by the SIU Saluki baseball program, where he'll be out there. And you know, of course, at the high school camps,
I think.
Yeah, he'll be at SIU Carbondale.
Carbondale, yes.
With Salukis.
I'm sorry, okay.
They're a base runner over at third. Brandon Joggers, Jason Butler at the plate. No outs. Swings and misses at a 1-2 count, and he goes down on a stretch.
Now we might see the squeeze here come into effect.
Strikeout number 3 for pitcher Rob Cerny. He's an accounting major, and he knows if he can get a couple more out of here, he's going to be out of a jam. Of course, you don't have to be an accounting major to know that, but he's got a runner at third, and as a right-handed pitcher, he's going to be facing that runner, so he'll be reminded of him. And that'll bring up Jamie Hayes, powerful third base hitter. Wanted to throw over there just to run him back, but the infield is playing in with 1 out. And we have a timeout as the Schaumburg catcher, Greg Newman, goes out to talk to his hurler.
Now, in this situation here, you know, you got a couple things you can do. Either, you know, offensively, you can show the fake squeeze and see how they're going to pitch the ball. Some guys will throw the ball inside at the hitter to get him back off the plate. The pitcher himself throwing the ball into the plate, he may want to throw a high strike to keep the ball up. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle this play situation.
Joggers leading off third. The delivery to Hayes. 1-0 the count to Jamie Hayes, who has already shown us he can play third base today. Showed us that all week long. 356 hitter, 2 homers, and 39 RBIs. takes the strike call, evens it up at 1-1. Robbie Nichols on deck. Ray Graham to follow.
It looks like something they're going to try to put something on now. The coach is giving a lot of signs down there, so there may be something up.
Infield is drawn in, their toes on the grass. The 1-1 delivery, outside for a ball, almost gets away, but the runner holds. Whatever they're doing out there, Mike, they're certainly playing with Rob Cerny's head.
That's what you need to do. You know, the coach is down there talking, and I don't know if he's trying to set something up for a pitch or two, you know, away, but, you know, the infielders are drawn in to try and knock the ball down and get the runner if he does try to go.
Fly ball, shallow left. Left fielder will charge, will be very difficult to tag up, and
drops in there.
Run scores, play at second, and they got the runner. Hayes tried to stretch the single into a double. He gets an RBI, though, and the Bulldogs lead 2-0.
I tell you, right now is a time at night it's difficult to see the ball. He got under that one a little bit, popped it up. The runner was tagging at third base, but the ball was so shallow, I don't think he wouldn't have scored on that particular play, but the left fielder didn't get there in time. And being with the, you know, the infield drawn in, it was tough for the shortstop to get back out to handle that ball himself.
Here's Robbie Nichols, junior three-sport athlete, and he gets a called strike one. Nichols, his last time up, struck out. He was the first strikeout victim by Schaumburg pitcher Rob Cerny. Cerny, who had a perfect game going through 3 innings, but has let go here in the 4th. 2-0 Harrisburg. When Schaumburg comes up in the top of the 5th, it'll be Jeff Schultz, Brasinger, and McCoy, the 6, 7, and 8 hitters. Shot right side. First baseman Reyes handles it himself, and that ends the inning. But in the inning for the Bulldogs, they get 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, and nobody left. We go to the top of the 5th. The Dogs leading the Saxons 2-0. The broadcast rights to this game have been granted to Sports Channel by the IHSA solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any reproduction or other use of this program without the consent of the Illinois High School Association or Sports Channel is prohibited. Joe Passion with Mike McDonald back at Lanphier Park in Springfield as the Bulldogs break Cerny's perfect game hex after 3 and lead 2-0 as we go to the top of the 4th.
Joe, I think you broke the
Check that, top of the 5th. That's right. As soon as I said that one pitcher had a perfect game, the other a no-hitter, Mike McDonald, coach of Morton, looked over at me like, Joe, you don't do that. But, hey, they can't hear that stuff. But I know that's a superstition of baseball coaches and their players coming out again. You know, there hasn't been a no-hitter, Mike, in a title game since 1961 when Larry Mack of Morton East beat East Alton Wood River in a 20-0 game. Well, right now, this young man on the mound, Brian Bebop, has still a no-hitter going through 4.
You're trying to jinx him too now, right?
Boy, I'll tell you, they'll get 3 hits, and you'll look at me with those stone eyes, and I'll never get out of this ballpark without a guilt complex. Again, thank Tony and Mike for the information from the Daily Southtown Economist Sports Desk in Springfield this week. Chicago Sun-Times, Tribune, Daily Herald, they're all here. A lot of local papers, of course, here. Radio station, WEBQ from Harrisburg, out broadcasting all the games, and boy, they're really having some fun. The Schaumburg leadoff hitter, Jeff Schultz. Yeah, that's the exciting media gang. Yeah, believe it or not, even Channel 2 Sports from Chicago up here to give some video back to the Chicago audience. And a base hit by Butler breaks the no-hitter against Brian Bebop. Now, McDonald, don't look at me like that.
Well, I told you, you can just go put the jinx. But he goes with this ball nice. He takes it right to right field. He drives the ball between first and second for the base hit to break up the no-hitter.
Well, both coaches have discussed with us earlier, have been teams that have pounced on big innings. We saw Harrisburg do it this last half inning in the bottom of the fourth when they scored 2 on 2 hits. Maybe it's Schaumburg's turn. Tom Granzinger, the DH, is the hitter. He struck out in his last time up. Lays down a beauty down the third base line. Trouble getting out of his glove as Hayes throws it away. Same play as last inning. And a runner will be held at third, so there will be no run scored. As the Harrisburg right fielder, Jason Butler, gets it in quickly, but over at third base now is Jeff Schultz as he scurried around, and at second is Tom Granzinger, and he is on with an error.
Again, he lays down a nice bunt. The third baseman comes in and fields the ball. Can't find a handle at first, and his feet weren't set. He shuffled his feet before he made the throw, and he threw the ball in the dirt. It got past the first baseman, and of course, it enabled the runners to move up for second and third then.
I looked for a moment like Groot, the third base coach, was going to send the runner, but he sent him back to third, and so they check the runners. Over at second is Granzinger, Jeff Schultz over at third, and Ryan McCoy, the hitter. No outs. Down the right field line, it's a fair ball. Play at the plate. Will they get him?
Yes.
They do. No. Safe at home plate. Schaumburg is on the board. We've got a 2-1 ball game, and that brings Jay Thompson, the Harrisburg coach, out of the dugout to talk with home plate umpire John Korchin as Jeff Schultz over scoring and Granzinger over at third. You decide. You make the call.
First baseman makes a nice play on this, tags first, and the throw to the plate is in time, but
a great replay, and from what I could see, it looked as though that left heel got in on the plate.
I would have to say so too. It was close. It was close. It looked like the tag was up about about calf area of the leg, and the foot was on the plate.
Granzinger over at third base. 1 out, and the number 9 hitter, Greg Schultz, will be up. Although we may have a pinch hitter as Paul Groot, the Schaumburg head coach, talking with the home plate umpire.
Now we're looking at a situation again with 1 out, runner at third base.
We'll take another look at that very close play at first base, and again, I got to give the nod to the home plate umpire, John Korchin of Buffalo Grove. His face is in on it, closer than anybody else's in the ballpark.
Now batting for Schultz. Number 13, Mark Levine.
We will have a pinch hitter for Greg Schultz. Mark Levine, number 13, senior third baseman, will pinch hit for Greg Schultz, who is batting only 158. So maybe Paul Groot looking for some additional hitting here in the fifth. 2-1, Schaumburg over trailing Harrisburg by 1. Levine the grounder, play at the plate. And this time they get him. No, he drops the ball. The Harrisburg catcher, Robbie Nichols, dropped the ball. We have a tie ball game here in the fifth.
Boy.
Get a lot of action at home plate. The last one was close. This one looked like a sure out. Again, the heads-up play by Hayes, getting it to the plate. And Mike?
Just a good throw, but looks like the back foot is sliding leg. The leg he slid on. Looked like it kicked the ball out of the glove.
Good eye, Mike McDonald. You haven't lost it for a second.
Nope.
You picked that up beautifully. You probably have carrots for breakfast. Levine does a nice job as the pinch hitter. And we will have a pinch runner for Schaumburg.
You know, one thing nice about the high school rules, you have a re-entry rule. We saw a pinch hitter come in for the starting player. Now we got a pinch runner. Now we can re-enter the defensive player once again when they go back out in the field. He can be re-entered one time. The original starters can re-enter it one time throughout the course of the ball game.
Mario Nelson will be the pinch runner over at first base for Levine, who was hitting for Greg Schultz. And here is Greg Newman.
One thing you know about DeBow, when he throws the first, he's always looking at home. He doesn't look at first when he throws over there. He tries to be deceptive by looking to the plate and then throwing to first. That time there, when he picked the leg up, he was looking at first base and came home. Last time he was looking at home and threw to first.
Newman is 0 for 1 officially. Struck out, walked, and stole a base, but was left stranded back in the third and throw over to first base. Runner is back in time. Nelson with good speed for Schaumburg over at first base. 4 stolen bases in the books, but he has pinch run already twice during the tournament, so you look for him to provide some additional speed out here on the baseline. Been caught stealing twice in 6 attempts. Grounded to second base. With 1 out, they'll have to go and get the runner at first, and they do. So Nelson moves over to second. Newman forces Nelson over there as he gets those stirrups back in order.
You know, Harrisburg didn't have a chance for the double play here. The ball was hit so soft, and as you can see, the runner passed and hopped over the ball, and so they just went for the routine out at first base.
And they get it, but that moves Nelson over to second base and in scoring position. He represents the lead run for Schaumburg. Tim Litwin, 0 for 2 today, has flied out twice, once in foul territory to the third baseman in the first, and shallow center field in the third. This time he hits a hard grounder. Backhand stab by the first baseman, nobody covering. Everyone's safe. Nelson falls at third, and he is safe back at third. Okay, Mike, your summary. You saw how that infield play just kind of developed there, and we saw a lot of chasing around that was maybe unnecessary.
What we see here is the pitcher failed to break to first base. Any ball on the right side of the diamond, the pitcher should be coming off the mound to cover first base in case the first baseman comes over and makes the play, which he did, and the first baseman made the play, but the pitcher was still there. And then the base runner nearly made a mistake by overrunning the bag, and the throw was just a little bit late to third base.
So Nelson over at third base for the Saxons, as the Bulldogs have a bit of a powwow out in the doghouse on the mound right now. We've got 2 outs here on the top of the 5th after Harrisburg scored 2 runs on 2 hits in the bottom of the 4th to break up a perfect game by Rob Cerny. Schaumburg has come back here with 2 runs on 2 hits in the top of the 5th to break up a no-hitter by Brian DeBout. And so Jim McComb, the number 3 hitter in Coach Paul Groot's order for Schaumburg, will step in. Another 3-sport athlete, basketball, baseball, and volleyball in the fall. Runners on the corner for the Saxons.
Nice play to run here would be a forced balk steal, where you try to get the pitcher to balk it. The runner at first breaks early.
The 1-0 delivery misses outside for a 2-0 count, with the shortstop leaning in on second base as Nelson catches his breath at third, and Litwin over at first plays a cautious lead off the bag. McComb is ahead of the pitcher, 2-0. Inside on the corner, though, for a called strike 1. McComb, who the guys call Billy Bob or Jim Bob. I don't know, maybe it's he wears the boots. Well, this is that good C&W up in Schaumburg. Throw over the first, runners back in time, and the Harrisburg first baseman, Ray Graham, doing a nice job from first to third for Harrisburg. Graham, Joggers, Ziegler, and Hayes in the infield. From left to right, Wilson, Pickleton, and Butler, and the ball gets away from the catcher, but a runner will advance to second, but the runner from third stays put. So Nelson stays put at third base. The pitcher did a nice job, Mike, coming off the mound to cover home plate and seemed to force Coach Drew to hold up his runner at third base.
That's one of the hardest ones for the runner at third to see, because the ball came away from the catcher, right down the third base line, or away from the third base line, directly away from it. It's hard to tell the distance the ball is rolling, so it's tough for him to try to get, score on that particular pitch.
3-1 delivery, chin music inside, and a base on ball will load him up for the Saxons. Litwin over at second base after the walk to McComb. Nelson at third, and Coach Groot reminding his runners and his hitter there are 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. We're tied at 2, and the Harrisburg fans on their feet yelling defense. The Schaumburg fans on their feet stomping the aluminum stands here at Landfair Park, as you can imagine, yelling offense. Swing and a miss by Juan Reyes. Reyes today is 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch and left stranded in the second, and looked at a inside strike 3 in the 4th. And that was quite an at-bat where the pitcher deep out really worked Reyes and worked him to a strikeout. The junk misses the inside corner. Count goes 1-1. Reyes is just a junior big kid, 6'3", 210. Played on the basketball team. The delivery inside, tried to jam him, and he fouls it back behind into the screen. Let's check the runners again for you. Nelson over at third. Got Litwin out there at second. And McComb on the base on balls at first. Ray steps back in. What to Nathan Hale.
Tell you,
junior high.
If they can keep the ball inside on him, he's going to have trouble handling the pitch. He's an inside-out swinger. If they get it out in the outside third of the plate, he'll drive the ball to left field. So this is important that they keep it in on his fist.
A swing and a miss, and he gets him on his second strikeout, and Brian Bebout is back to the dugout as he gets out of a major jam. He gives up only 2 runs on 2 hits as 8 men come to the plate. There were 2 errors, though, and 3 men left aboard. We go to the bottom of the 5th with a tie ball game notched up at 2. That last pitch that ended a wild inning for Schaumburg, getting Reyes to go after that curveball that sliced away from the plate. Reyes' second strikeout, and now the Harris Bulldogs, well, the Bulldogs, who had 2 in the bottom of the 4th, find their 2-0 lead dwindle to a tie ball game as we open up the bottom of the 5th, and a bunt to open up by Ray Graham, but it goes foul.
Coach Thompson said these kids can run, so, they're going to try any way to get on and try to start the inning off with a bunting for a base hit.
Brian McCoy, the third baseman over there, picking it up, and Ray Graham, another 3-sport athlete, football and basketball, the other 2, and he looks at it called strike, and it makes it an 0-2 count. The pitcher now ahead of the hitter. On deck will be Brian Ziegler, to be followed by Blake Wilson. Misses outside for a ball. Schaumburg defense playing back and straight away for Graham. He's hitting .290 on the year. Wanted to go after it, he should have. It was a called strike 3, and Graham looks at the third for the out. That's strikeout number 4 for Rob Cerny, the Schaumburg pitcher. Well, he looks like he's been through a storm, and maybe the last inning may have seemed like it, but he's a battler. Cerny has not pitched during the championship series this week, so he's fresh. Hard hit grounder by Ziegler to the second baseman. An easy 4-3 put out for out number 2. So Ziegler back to the dugout. will bring up Blake Wilson.
Left fielder, Blake Wilson.
Second baseman McComb did a nice job, Jim Bob, on that one. Just bobbed up that ball and took his time getting the throw in the first. Here's Blake Wilson, senior, also a football player. And he looks at strike one. You know he's got great eyesight. He's going to major in optometry.
Oh.
So if he doesn't, everyone else he sees will. And this one he sees well. Hits it to center field, but the Schaumburg center fielder, Tim Litwin, is there to make the catch. And for the third, make that the fourth time in 5 innings. Harrisburg goes down 1, 2, 3 in order. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. We go to the 6th. We got a tie ball game for the Class AA high school baseball finals. 2-2, Harrisburg and Schaumburg. You know, the fans come out here, and they are, of course, as major part of this tournament as everybody else is. As we go to the top of the 6th, and the Schaumburg fans are as happy at this point as Harrisburg, because we're tied up 2-2 as we go to the top of the 6th. Schaumburg, Troy Smith will be leading it off, the number 5 hitter in Coach Paul Groot's order.
Right fielder, Troy Smith.
He's had a sacrifice and a strikeout so far tonight.
And he looks at one on the outside corner for strike one. Troy will be followed to the plate by Jeff Schultz and Tom Granzinger. Troy's the one who last time up, you may recall, hit off about a dozen foul pitches, including 2 on the same part of his right foot. Came back to strike out, and now is behind the pitcher 1 and 2. That was a great one-on-one battle, and for the baseball fans who can go out to a ballpark and watch a pitcher and a hitter battle and really get a thrill out of it, we saw that the last time Troy Smith was up.
You know, he's got a good eye up there. He does make good contact on the ball. There he goes. He fouled one off him. So that was off the dirt first.
Shouldn't surprise you that Troy's a battler. Beside playing football, he also wrestles during the winter and then is ready and in shape.
Hit the ball a little bit behind him, and that's why, you know, it's down right behind the plate and came up and looked like it caught him in the rib cage.
He's going to be black and blue, but depending upon the outcome, it probably won't matter. Looks at one inside, and it is just inside.
You know, that's one pitch. You can't really argue on the inside because the plate umpire sets up between the catcher and the hitter, and he can see the inside pitch. The outside pitch is the one that's going to be questionable.
Brian Bebout, who was nominated to play in the Illinois State All-Star Game, pitches the ball outside, and of course, as a former baseball committee chairman of the Illinois Coaches Association, Mike, you're very familiar with that game, and I believe this year's Illinois High School All-Star Baseball game between the East and the West in Peoria comes up June 17th, am I correct?
June 17th at Minot Field in Peoria. It'll be a doubleheader, include both Class A and AA players.
Pop up left side, and the Harrisburg catcher, Robbie Nichols, comes over and makes the nice stab and retires Troy Smith. We'll get back to talk about that All-Star game in a moment, but this was an All-Star play here by Robbie Nichols.
You know, we try to teach players, if at all possible, you know, that's a tough play for the catcher. When you got to come that far towards the dugout, you know, if the third baseman can take that, we'd like to see him take charge of that particular play. Anything directly behind the plate, the catcher should be able to handle with ease.
Here's Jeff Schultz, and he sends one down the line and is just foul in front of the left field foul line umpire, Bill Laudy, and Jeff comes back a little disgruntled on that one. Well, I tell you, if it gets any closer than this, the chalk's going to jump up. Right in front of Bill Laudy down the line. Jeff Schultz, quite a story. You know, he couldn't even make this team last year as a junior. The coach said, not good enough, son. You're going to have to wait. Jeff worked hard, and he's an honors student. Will be going to the University of Michigan on a scholarship, an academic scholarship.
Oh, that's a lot of credit to him. You know, you say he didn't make the ball club last year, and here's a young man that wanted to play the game of baseball, went out and worked hard at it, improved his ability, his skills, and was able to make the ball club as a senior.
The center fielder for Harrisburg, Sean Pinkleton, making the nice catch, bringing up Tom Granzinger. with 2 outs here in the top of the 6th, still notched up at 2. Well, the Schultz brothers, who are both honor students, show that fight on the field as well. And you got to fight in the books to study well and be a standout in the classroom, just as an athlete does at the practice field in their sport. Granzinger, who did a tremendous job in the semifinal win by Schaumburg over Chicago Public League champion Clemente, 7-4 in that Schaumburg win. Granzinger pitched that game, and boy, what a battler he was out on the mound. But he went all the way to up his record of 7-2 in the semifinal victory over Clemente. Pitched 7 innings. Did not walk a batter. You know, that's one thing about the pitchers here. They have not walked a batter during this tournament coming into this game. Although pitcher Rob Cerny, after we see a walk to Granzinger.
Did you jinx him again?
Boy, I tell you. McDonald, you're just not going to let up on me. Here's the walk by the Harrisburg pitcher, Granzinger. Well, he didn't give up any walks, but he'll take one.
That's right.
Third baseman Ryan McCoy.
4 walks thus far giving up by Bebout. And Ryan McCoy, the junior out of Dooley Elementary and Adams Junior High in Schaumburg, basketball and football player. Tell you what, this kid's got high goals. Not only is physics his favorite class, but his college plans are either University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, or Princeton. He's another National Honor Society member on this ball club, and he was an MVP as a sophomore. Number 1 in his class academically, this young man right here.
That's great when you can take academics and athletics and put them together, and and keep your grades up and be a good student in school, and that that says a lot for him because he's got a lot of good habits.
I'll tell you what, his habits are 12 months a year. Football, basketball, baseball, physics, and business. He's all business right now with the 1-0 count. Throw goes back over, almost had the runner leaning. Granzinger over at first base, and Mike, you can pick this up because he almost picked him off.
See how he kind of looked to the plate and then came to first base with the play, and he's done that.
Long fly ball. Left field is going to come back. Left fielder charging and will have to make the catch, almost diving for the out. A tremendous running catch by the Harrisburg left fielder, Blake Wilson. Wilson had to come a long way to make that catch, and that retires the side at the top of the 6th. For Schaumburg, no runs, no hits, no errors. They leave a man aboard. The Bulldogs coming up in the bottom of the 6th, and we are still tied at 2. Left fielder Blake Wilson of the Harrisburg Bulldogs makes a dog of a catch. He really came a long way to get that bone to end the inning in the top of the 6th to hold Schaumburg to no runs. And here in the bottom of the 6th, it will be Harrisburg's Ryan McGowan, the designated hitter, batting 9th in the order, leading off. Looks at a ball on the inside corner. McGowan, a junior. You know, this Harrisburg Ball Club listens to the same music tapes before every game. All season long they've done that. Maybe the recorder wasn't working very well back toward the latter part of the regular season when they lost their only game of the year to South 7 Conference member Mount Vernon, a very good Mount Vernon ball club, by the way. It was no fluke. It was just one of those days. But we asked Coach Jay Thompson, well, do you remember the name of the music? He goes, it's just rock and roll. It's loud. I don't know. I should know it by heart by now. It's just loud and rock and roll. But these kids have rocked and rolled their way to the championship game tonight. And a shot through the right side. A great recovery by the second baseman, Jim McComb, but he just comes up short.
Tremendous play by McComb, knocking the ball down, and he nearly got the base runner on the play. Watch this again on the replay.
Went out and got that ball.
Drove it
so
to
did
right
McComb.
Field. And he extends himself. He knocks it down. And he makes a nice throw to first base, but just a little bit late.
And it's just barely late. A very close play despite the action out there by McComb. Infield base hit for Ryan McGowan at first base, and the top of the lineup for the Bulldogs comes up. Sean Pinkleton, 1 for 1 today. He broke up the perfect game as he led off the fourth. Number 2, Sean Pinkleton at the plate. Bit of a timeout on the mound as
we got a pinch runner, I think.
Rob Cerny, the pitcher, and now the umpire talking, and we will have a pinch runner. Number 18, Chris Healy, just a sophomore. What a thrill it's got to be for this young man to come in and pinch run in the Class AA state championship game. And big round of applause for the man who got the base hit, Ryan McGowan.
You know, to bring a sophomore in a ball game like this at this particular moment, this kid, Healy, I would assume, would really know how to run the bases. You know, he has some good speed to come in at this point and be aggressive. You've got Pilkington up.
Well, Healy has only had one at-bat, Mike, since he's come up to the varsity after the regular season. So obviously he's got some speed and must have something upstairs. That's not going to put a dumb runner out.
That's what happens late in the season when you got a chance to fill your roster up for the tournament. You try to bring up a little extra speed. Probably, they're not going to be the caliber hitters the rest of the ball club because they haven't played the varsity level. So you're going to try to pick up a couple runners that can run.
Well, we talked about Schaumburg's location in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Harrisburg, actually a suburb of Carbondale, Illinois, home of the SIU Carbondale Salukis, about 15 miles directly east of Carbondale, a neighbor of Marion, Illinois, down in southern Illinois. Beautiful country down there. Outside and low. Pinkleton is the power of this lineup. He has 8 home runs this year, 38 RBIs, and the team leading hitter at .539. But the center field flag shows the wind blowing from left to right as the batter looks at it. This time he hits it down the line. It'll go foul. Jay Thompson, the third base coach, lets it go. He needs those hands.
Pilkington's going to be a hard man to double up. Of course, Healy at first base has got some good speed, so he's going to have an opportunity probably if the ball is hit in the infield of breaking up the double play. And it's going to be a tough chance on the double play here for the fielders.
Easy throw over to first. Great credit to these two programs, both Berg, Schaum and Harris, in the state championship series for the first time in their school history. And we mentioned it real briefly before as Pinkleton comes back to look at a 2-2 count, that Schaumburg, in one of the tougher baseball conferences in the northern portion of the state, the mid-suburban league, Barrington Broncos and Coach Kirby Smith were in the championship game the last 3 seasons. Lost last year to Galesburg, who lost here this year in the semifinals. Lost 2 years ago to Springfield Griffin, who lost in the quarterfinals this season, and then won the whole kabang 3 years ago.
3 years ago, they had a fantastic ball club.
Still hold the state record for home runs. Could be playable. Catcher comes up and makes the play, runs it right back to keep the runner holding at first. So Pinkleton hops out behind home plate to the catcher, Greg Newman. He did a nice job. A lot of people think this is an easy play, Mike, but you probably know better. You did a little catching.
Yes, the one thing, he located the ball and he got rid of the mass so it wouldn't be in his way, and he kept the ball's going to drift back to the plate when it's hit behind the plate. It's going to come back to it, so he handled that play very well.
Here's Brandon Joggers, throw over to first. A lot of people don't know that. They just think Mike McDonald is a successful high school baseball coach at Morton. The guy was a third baseman at Bradley University and played catcher in the St. Louis Cardinal organization for 2 years. From third base to catcher, that was quite a transition.
Well, I went to a couple tryout camps when I was in college, and And when I got a chance as a free agent, they told me I wouldn't make it at third base, and my arm wasn't strong enough in the outfield, and I says, well, I'm here as a catcher. And so they took a look at me, and they ended up signing me, and fortunately I had a couple years in pro ball, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, that's some great experience to take with you. Pop up, middle of the infield. Cerny on the mound. He says he'll take it himself, and he does for out number 2. So Cerny, after giving up a leadoff single to open up the bottom of the 6th with a 2-2 tie ball game, has called the following 2 batters to pop out. And usually the pitcher won't take this, but Cerny thought it was his ball.
The ball wasn't hit real high, but yet, you know, the pitcher is not used or accustomed to, you know, fielding pop-ups, and a lot of times you like to have your infielders do that, but the infielders were playing back in, you know, a deeper depth, so, you know, he did the right play on that.
Here's Jason Butler, senior. We mentioned earlier, going to SIU Carbondale, play baseball. He was voted Mr. Hustle at a summer baseball camp last year, and if it was Itchy Jones's camp at Southern, that's quite an honor. They get hundreds of kids that come out there every summer.
He's got a big one coming up here next week. You know, he's got approximately 200 kids coming into his camp this summer, and Itchy always has a nice baseball camp. We've had players go down there from our school.
Does a great job. Swing and a miss. Now, we certainly don't want to leave out some of the other state schools who have tremendous programs. Of course, Bradley University, University of Illinois had a stellar year under their new head coach this past season. Western and Eastern, of course, 2 tremendous small school programs, Lewis University and the College of St. Francis in Will County, both went to their respective NAIA and NCAA Division II World Series this year. Lewis University of Coach Irish O'Reilly, which went to the NAIA Division II World Series for the 2nd year in a row, and the legend himself, Gordy Gillespie, took his College of St. Francis Joliet school to the NAIA World Series for, I believe, the 3rd time in the last 8 years.
You know, Illinois has outstanding baseball, period, whether it be high school or college, and I think we rank about 4th or 5th in the country in getting professional ball players, and you know, that speaks very
Shot
well
to left center, could be trouble. Shortstop Butler goes out and he makes the catch to end the inning. Harrisburg tried to put on the rally hats, but may have to turn them around for next inning because Schaumburg holds the Dogs to no runs on 1 hit. No errors and a man left on. We go to the final inning of regulation, the 7th, with the score tied at 2. The Harrisburg dugout beginning to put their rally caps in position as we go to the 7th. We are tied at 2. Schaumburg, the visiting team after the coin flip from earlier today here in the championship game with the Class AA schools, will come up here on the top of the 7th with their number 9 hitter to be followed by the top of the order, Greg Schultz, who was pulled for a pinch hitter last time up. Back at the plate this time up. Of course, with the re-entry rule, unique to high school baseball, Greg Schultz went back out of the field where he is so strong defensively, and now to stay in the game must hit here in this position. And of course, that re-entry rule's got to be great for you coaches, Mike McDonald, to have the opportunity to get all the kids in. That makes your job easier, I would imagine.
Right, you get some playing time for your kids, and it's nice that, you know, you have that opportunity because maybe one kid might be weak in one area and they have a strength in another. You can pinch hit him or pinch run him. You know, those type of things are convenient for that particular rule.
Greg's the junior, the younger brother of left fielder Jeff Schultz, and like his brother, a National Honor Society member as he fouls one off. The unique rules of re-entry baseball here on the high school level, of course, 7 innings of regulation play, including in the championship series. Several other rules that are unique to high school baseball that I like. We're seeing some of them on the collegiate level and maybe quite a ways before we see them in the bigs. Called strike 3, and Greg Schultz opens up the top of the 7th. Strikeout number 6 for Brian Bebout, his first strikeout, by the way, in 2 innings. Took something off that ball to get to the outside corner of the plate.
You know, he's throwing well considering he just threw yesterday? First game of the tourney. And it looks like he's throwing real strong.
Laid down the line by Greg Newman, and he is going to beat it out. You may remember the third baseman Hayes. Last time he tried to field a bunt like that, threw it away. This time he saw that the runner was going to beat his throw, so he wisely held on. So give credit to Hayes for learning from a past mistake.
Excellent bunt. And that's the only play he had on it. He wouldn't have been able to throw him out, and he did the wise thing. He just held the ball, and you know, you got one out in this situation. You got a chance to turn to double play here, so you know, he just ate the ball.
Both teams with just 3 hits. Shot by Litwin to the second baseman. One-handed tap over. He couldn't hold on to the ball, but held on to it long enough, says second base umpire Kevin McMurray, long enough to get the runner at second base for out number 2. I'll tell you, the pickup had a little bit of a trouble. The second baseman, Brandon Joggers, getting a handle on it, but made a nice recovery. Did he hold on to that long enough? Even in slow motion, it didn't seem very long.
I don't think so. I don't think so. He never had control of the ball in the glove.
That's why Paul Groot is out there, and he's hot. He's probably showing off that Purdue ring of his. When he played ball at Purdue, and he was quite a spicy catcher. Well, it didn't look, it's tough to judge in slow motion, so we'll look at it in regulation motion. And you make the call.
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, the ball wasn't in the glove, and nice camera work.
Litwin with the fielder's choice. Newman forced out on the controversial call at second base on the 4-6 putout. And with 2 outs, that'll bring up James McComb. McComb, who we have seen make some pretty solid defensive plays himself over at second. Throw over, had the runner leaning. Ball got away. It could have been close.
I think they would have had him on that one. And they had him leaning.
Well, I tell you, Brian Rocket Bebout is really having those kids go about that first base. There you saw the lean. Looked like they could have had him had the first baseman. Ray Graham held on to the ball, and the runner over at first base, Tim Litwin, got hit with the ball in the shoulder, it looks, in the right shoulder, and he's in pain.
I think what happened, if we can see a replay on that again, the first baseman went down with his knee, and when he slid back, his hand went into the knee and looked like it pushed his hand back.
Watch his right knee there on his left hand sliding in, and it got a little bit of a collision there. Although with a 2-2 score, it may take more than a knee to get Tim Litwin out of the ball game. There's Tim being looked over, his head coach on the left of your screen, Paul Groot. We talked about what a great job Jay Thompson has done with Harrisburg. Groot ditto that with Schaumburg against that tough mid-suburban league conference out there that he has to deal with year in and year out. And Schaumburg with victories during this week's tournament over Chicago Clemente in the semifinal, 7-4. They open up with a big win over Winnetka New Trier, 3-2, and Coach Klein's ball club, which is year in and year out. Another tough conference there in the Central Suburban League.
Very much so. You know, they play a lot of good baseball.
In fact, your alma mater, Pekin High School, which of course hosts the IHSA softball tournament every year, got a pretty solid program out there too for the small schools.
Yeah, Bob Beal, Pekin is, you know, he's been there about 17 years. He came from Galesburg before he came to Pekin. You know, he does an outstanding job at Pekin High School. Here's
McComb facing a 1-0 count, runner at first, 2 outs, the throw to first, and runner is back in time. The third base coach's box, of course, held by Paul Groot, real solid catcher himself back in his days. He went to Wheeling High School, and his coach, Ron DeBolt, who's his role model, shot over to the third. Hayes has trouble getting the handle, will have to hold on again. Runners are safe at first and second. McComb over at first.
I think the third baseman, Hayes, thought the ball was hit harder than that. And, you know, he scrambled to pick the ball up, and he did the wise thing again. Rather than risk a long throw to first base, he just held the ball. He could still get the force out at any base in the infield now.
It'll be ruled a hit. Infield hit for McComb. Litwin over at second base, easing out that sore shoulder of his. And McComb over at first, and there's Groot. Says his high school coach from Wheeling High School, Ron DeBolt, who is still at Wheeling High School. He says that's coaching against his mentor, his role model. But he says he has learned so much from coaching and baseball from his former coach, Ron DeBolt. He says the only disadvantage of it is he's still got to coach against him, and he still gets him. The Wheeling coach, DeBolt, still gets DeGroot at Schaumburg. But Schaumburg's here in the championship game. We have Greg Adent pinch hitting now for Juan Reyes, who has struck out twice today. Greg Adent, senior, pitcher, third baseman, and he swings and misses. Adent, a pitcher and a third baseman, pinch hitting for Reyes. The lead runner over at second for Adent to try and hit in. With all runner also at first, and 2 outs. The kick and the delivery inside misses. Evens the count at 1-1. Litwin over at second base. He wants to score, of course. McComb over at first. He would love to bring some insurance in from first, but there are 2 outs. The ball's going to have to get out of the infield. Adent is the man that has been called on to do the job. Fouls it off into the aluminum stands, does the ricochet, and wakes up a customer.
You know, something that we need to keep an eye on after this half inning. Litwin out in center field with the bad arm right now, you know, jamming that arm coming back into first base. That's his throwing arm. So it could prove to be a crucial if they have a play at the plate or, you know, an extra base hit to try to throw a runner out.
The defense for the Harris Bulldogs, which is playing straight away from first, Graham, Joggers, Ziegler, and Hayes from first to third in the infield. From left to right, Wilson, Pinkleton, and Butler. Inside misses for ball 3, and we've got a full count.
Runners will be going on the pitch.
Probably the most favorite pitch in baseball. 3-2 count. 2 outs. Bases loaded. Bases with first and second. And we're in the final inning of play. We are tied at 2. The delivery. Nope, they go to first. They get him off. Very close. Brian Bebout, the pitcher, really shaking up the base runners at first base, including McComb here, with a great move off the mound. Something too, Mike, that you can tell that Bebout really stays away from the ball because he points that foot toward where he's throwing, and he goes toward first. Swing and a miss. He gets Adent on the strikeout. In the top of the 7th, Schaumburg gets no runs on 2 hits, both in the infield. No errors, but they lead 2 runners aboard, and we go to the bottom of the 7th. The Bulldog fans are on their feet. We are tied at 2. Protecting a 2-2 tie in the top of the 7th. Brian Bebout strikes out pitch hitter Adent to end the 7th and sprints, as he does every inning, back into the dugout. And the Harrisburg Bulldogs trying to put the rally caps on. We go to the bottom of the 7th at Lanphier Park in Springfield, and the Schaumburg Saxons hoping to get an opportunity to take this into extra innings. The Harris Bulldogs would like to end it here and go back to Southern Illinois with the big prize. Schaumburg center fielder Tim Litwin, who rubbing his knee, but really it's his right shoulder that is bothering him, and that's the shoulder that he'll be catching with. So how that will affect him, should a ball be hit Litwin's way in center, well, we'll just have to sit back and view. Leading off the bottom of the 7th, third baseman Jamie Hayes, senior three-sport athlete.
Leading off the bottom of the 7th,
He wants to be the next Bo Jackson. He wants to be the next primetime man. He wants to play pro football and baseball. And he looks at a ball outside in the corner. The pitcher, Rob Cerny. First game he has pitched during the final series. They call him Bubber. Bubber is behind Hayes, 2-0. Senior versus senior. You know, Mackie Nichols, businessman in Harrisburg, telling me earlier today how the whole town has really rallied around this Harrisburg ball club, and Jay Thompson, the head coach of the Bulldogs, expressing very much the same, the small town mentality, and I mean this in a very positive sense, and you know this in Morton, really has a tendency to rally around a successful boys or girls team in the high school level and follow them to the state finals. And no rip against Schaumburg, but of course it's a much further distance as the count goes to 3-1 to Hayes. The Chicago suburbs and the Chicago city schools, so much to do up in the big city, don't have that same mentality around their high schools and the support they're showing. But Schaumburg coach Paul Groot says Schaumburg has gotten a lot of support this year. And they get some good support from their infield, as they have all season long, with the nice put out, and that puts out Hayes.
McCoy did a nice job on this play, going to his left. He's playing deep in the infield. He cuts the ball off in front of the shortstop and makes a nice, accurate throw to first base.
McCoy felt he had a good angle, and he was on the move already, and he makes the nice play from third base. Robbie Nichols, the junior three-sport athlete, golf, basketball are the other two. And I'm sure he wouldn't mind waiting a few more hours before he makes a decision about which golf course he's going to hit the links to. He'd like to go out there and show off a trophy and a ribbon, and he backs off some chin music from Cerny. 1-1 the count. Boy, Nichols had to really back off on this one, or he might have gotten a shave he didn't ask for. One out in the bottom of the 7th. We're tied at 2. Schaumburg out in the field. Harrisburg at the plate. Nichols gets behind 1-2. In fact, he was all conference in golf. I had to ask him. I played a couple of rounds of golf while in Springfield this week at beautiful Lincoln Greens, and I need some lessons. There's no question about that. Here's a lesson for you, how to hit a deep fly ball. Left center field. Could fall into the gap, and it does. Holding up, though, with a long single is Robbie Nichols at first base. And for a minute, it looked like he was going to give that ball a one-way ride to freedom.
He hits this ball nice in the gap, and you know, if you Tim Litwin gets over there real quick and picks the ball up and holds him to a long single. And we had a question about whether that right shoulder would bother him, but he fielded the ball fine and made a nice throw coming back.
For a moment, it looked as though Nichols was going to try and stretch that into a double. He doesn't have the great speed, so he wisely held up. He knows right now the priority is base runners, and he will get a pinch runner. So Nichols does the job and goes back to the dugout to the applause of the Harrisburg fans, and Chris Lucas will come out and he will pinch run. Chris Lucas, number 6. He's another one of the sophomore speedsters brought up to play with the varsity for the championship series. And Lucas will get his chance to maybe be the hero. Maybe be the man that scores the winning run. Right now, that's what he represents, the winning run. Cerny, though, of course, hopes to derail any thoughts of a Harrisburg winning rally here in the bottom of the 7th. Should Schaumburg come up in the 8th, should we go extra innings, it'll be the number 5, 6, and 7 hitters, Smith, Jeff Schultz, and Granzinger. Smash up the middle by Ray Graham. Double play ball. They get 1 at second. Will not be able to complete the double play. So Graham wishing he would have hit that ball a little bit harder through the middle. Lucas comes back.
Again, he gets under or over the ball a little bit, tops the ball, a couple high big hops to the shortstop. Like I say, they've got one, and they just settled with that. It didn't look like the second baseman got the handle on it.
So here's Brian Ziegler, the junior shortstop for Harrisburg, with his attempt to keep this rally alive. There goes the runner. The throw's in the dirt, and they get him at second base. A beautiful throw by the Schaumburg catcher, Greg Newman. And Schaumburg is forcing this championship game into extra innings. For Harrisburg in the 7th, they get no runs on 1 hit. No errors, but they leave a runner aboard. Check that. They get the runner taken off the board. And we go into extra innings into the 8th. Still notched up at 2. We're going extra innings because of this great throw by Schaumburg catcher Greg Newman to get the attempted steal from Ray Graham right in the dirt, and a great glove play by the Schaumburg second baseman Jim McComb to make that play.
Boy, that was a tough chance too. The ball short hopped him in front, and he made a nice backhand play and put the tag on the runner.
So here we go into extra innings in the 8th. For Schaumburg, it'll be Smith, Schultz, and Granzinger. The Schaumburg fans are on their feet, jogging in place, hoping to take a trophy home, the biggest trophy. And there's the Clemente team and their fans who have stayed on here to root on the Chicagoland area team. And that's an interesting topic, to see the Chicago Public League champion in the gold and blue up there with their 4th place trophies around their neck. Ball comes into the stands. They're getting closer, Mike.
I know that.
They're getting closer, I'll tell you.
We don't have a net, do we?
No, but we're flanked by 2 good crew members with able hands, and we know that they'll come through for us. I just wish our director, Lisa, would have given them some gloves up here. You know, just in case. No offense, guys. Foul ball this time could be playable. Hayes over. He makes the catch. The third baseman.
This is a tough play. He's going to the, he's got to go over to the fence near the stands on a dead run, and, worrying about the fence.
Troy Smith, the hitter who had been fouling off so many pitches in each at-bat today, this time gets foiled by Hayes. Jamie Hayes with the nice catch. Here's Jeff Schultz, the senior we talked about earlier. Didn't make this team as a junior, but yet National Honor Society, going to the University of Michigan, Illinois State Scholar, Mid-Suburban League All-Academic team. And he hits one down the right field line. This will be fair, and it will go extra bases. Jeff Schultz wheeling around to second base, and he's in with a stand-up double for the Saxons. Jeff Schultz does a great job of going with the outside pitch here, Mike, and he really laid it right down on the line, just inside the right field line.
Again, this late in the inning, he's just got to go and make good contact and go with the ball, and he did that, and he got himself a double.
So the DH, Tom Granzinger, will try and end this first extra inning championship game since 1974, prior to when the classifications of Class A and AA were split up in '78. And Granzinger looks at a ball up high and inside. The corner infielders drawn in, especially third baseman Jamie Hayes. Fouls one back. Runner over at second is Jeff Schultz with the double. back in 1974, Glenbrook North went 8 innings before defeating East Peoria. In fact, as a graduate of 1973 at Maine South, I remember that great Glenbrook North that we had to play every year. High fly ball deep to left. Left fielder is back. Schultz will not advance. He will stay at second base. Runner ain't coming. He's staying right at home at second.
That 1974 East Peoria Ball Club was coached by Fritz Millard, whose son plays or is an assistant coach for me.
Well, Fritz's ball club lost that one, and this one by Grenzinger did not get lost by the Harrisburg left fielder, Blake Wilson. He was right there and sent the bullet back into the infield. Wilson with the nice defense out there in left field. And so 2 outs now, and here's junior Ryan McCoy. McCoy today 0 for 3, has grounded out twice and flied out deep to left. Check that, shallow to left. That was the one that Wilson came in and made a great running stab on back in the 6th.
You know, I want to throw one other bit in here on that East Peoria team. Roger Fagley played for East Peoria that year.
Outstanding Bradley baseball and basketball star, went into the pros. Shallow right field, could be trouble. Right fielder, though, says no trouble for Jason Butler. Butler makes the catch, and the extra innings continues. We go to the bottom of the 8th. In the top, though, Schaumburg gets the double by Schultz, but he's left stranded. No run score. We go to the bottom of the 8th with the bottom of the order coming up for the Bulldogs, and we're still notched up at 2. Prior to this championship game here in Springfield, the consolation game was won by the defending state champion Galesburg Silver Streaks 13-3 over this team up in the stands in the gold and royal blue, the Clemente Wildcats, cheering on their Chicagoland neighbor from Schaumburg. But right now the Harrisburg Bulldog fans are certainly not about to give up here, because they're the home team in this game. And here in the bottom of the 8th with the score tied 2-2, the Bulldogs will send their 7, 8, and 9 hitters, Brian Ziegler, Blake Wilson, and Ryan McGowan to the plate. And here's Ziegler. Junior hits it down the line and just fouled. Third base umpire Charles Williford didn't even blink. Tell you, umpire's doing a great job. John Cortrin behind home plate. First base umpire Bill Porterfield. Second base Kevin McMurray. Williford at third. Left field line, Bill Laudy. Right field line, Thomas Toman of Arlington Heights. The man that's been doing the job is Bubber, or Goon, or Goose. That's his nickname for Rob Cerny on the hill for the Saxons. Cerny has really been keeping the Harrisburg hitters, I feel at least, really off balance with an assortment of pitches.
He has. He's done an outstanding job tonight, you know, pitching all 8 innings. He's like you say, he's keeping them off stride. He's mixing in the breaking ball with the fastball. And
he does it, a bit of the bat gets on it, and it also gets on the catcher, Newman.
I think he fouled right off his fingertips there.
Now, going back, talking about the teams that have been here this week, Galesburg winning over Bennett 11-0 in 5 innings in one of the quarterfinal games. As you watch this ball tip off the bat and get the catcher. Newman caught it off the right arm, but it's just another day in the life of a catcher,
boy,
right, Coach?
You bet. You bet.
You've been there. You know how those black and blue marks get. The other quarterfinal games won Harrisburg over Andrew 4-3. Big upset in that ball game. Strike 3 gets away. Newman, though, recovers and throws out the runner at first base. The Harrisburg fans calling for another foul tip. We'll take another look at it.
I don't think he fouled it. It was off the catcher's glove, but then he had trouble getting out of the box. Ziegler stumbled as he got out of the box.
But not because of the catcher who was behind him, so forget about any interference call. 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th, and here is Blake Wilson. Outstanding left fielder we have seen play great defensively. And going back to the quarterfinal scores again, Galesburg over Bennett of Lisle. Harrisburg defeating Andrew in that big game, beating Jason Zimbauer, the standout 4th-round draft choice of the Milwaukee Brewers from Tinley Park. Little chop foul. Then Schaumburg in a big battle over another outstanding team from the northwest suburbs. North suburbs, really. New Trier High School. Coach Klein's ball club out of Winnetka. Schaumburg winning that one 3-2. Then Clemente with a big upset over the host school, Sacred Heart Griffin High School in Springfield. Champions 2 years ago. Timeout. And then the semis, it was the Bergs, Harrisburg over Galesburg, 5-3. We've had a lot of Bergs here. You know, Freeburg won the Class A final. Schaumburg then beat Clemente in the other semi 7-4. And as we mentioned, Galesburg, the defending champion.
Coaches can go with these pitchers, you know. Yes.
On the mound, Cerny, and he gets a nice pitch outside, and fouling it off is Blake Wilson. It's interesting that both these pitchers did not pitch in the semifinal games. Cerny, who has not pitched in the 2 days here. Bebout, though, did pitch in the semifinal game, went 7 full innings. The high school rule, a pitcher can pitch only 9 innings per day. So both pitchers can only go 9 if it goes that far. And a shot down the right field line. Around first and going to second is Blake Wilson. Head first slide, and he's got a double. Blake Wilson with the 2-base hit. Brings the Bulldog crowd to their feet and wakes them up here in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, he drives this ball right down the line. Again, the pitch was away, and he took it right to right field. First base was playing off the line in this situation. In late innings, you should be playing a little more between the lines so that nothing gets between you and the foul line to prevent the double. You know, if you can keep the ball in between you and the base, then you know, you're only going to hold that runner to a single.
Get them dogs, they're yelling out there.
Designated hitter Ryan McGowan.
Here's the DH for the Bulldogs, Ryan McGowan. On the day, Rhino is 1 for 2. He had an infield single his last time up in the 6th. Keep in mind, however, in the top of the 8th, the second hitter of the inning had a double down the right field line, Jeff Schultz, with 1 out. Same situation here in the bottom of the 8th. 1 out. A double down the right field line, this time for Harrisburg by Blake Wilson. And here is McGowan. A single ends this ball game. Swing and a miss. On deck, the leadoff hitter, leading home run hitter, one of the leading RBI hitters, and the leading batting average hitter on deck, Sean Pinkington. McGowan, no slouch. He's hitting .350.
Coach Thompson said that Pilkington, I think, was his best hitter. So if they can get to him and give him the opportunity to, you know, maybe drive in this potential winning run at second base.
The Bulldog dugout. Inside for a ball. 2-1. Jay Thompson wants him to hit through the ball. Jay in his 8th year. 170 wins for Jay Thompson in 8 years. Shot down the right side into the grandstand, and it will even the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Over at second base with that double, Blake Wilson.
Well, the center fielder and the right fielder are playing awful deep. And, you know, a base hit in front of them will probably score.
Defense playing straight away. The center fielder playing a bit to his left toward right field. But the infielders playing deep with 1 out. The 2-2 delivery. And again, fouled into the screen. You know, Mike, you and I talked on the pregame show, and of course throughout the afternoon during the semifinals, how we felt from what we were told from the coaches that this would be a very evenly played ball game. 2 well-balanced teams, 2 teams who had pitching by committee staff this year. No standout on the mound. Outstanding hitters. No great power, but they made contact. They didn't strike out a lot. They got base runners on base. They had the big innings. And the great defense behind the pitchers. Shot into right field. This could be it. The runner will be held at third, but wait a minute, there's a runner going to second, and maybe a heads-up play on his part.
Very much so. Very much so.
Ryan McGowan with heads-up baseball. He's on with a single. He advances over to second with Wilson going to third.
He drives the ball to right field. The man at second base had to make sure it wasn't going to be caught. And as he rounded third base, he held up, and then the throw came to the plate. And as the throw came to the plate, McGowan went on down to second base. Now that takes away the double play.
Over at second base, a very happy Ryan McGowan, the designated hitter, with his second hit of the day, as Schaumburg with the powwow on the mound. And number 26, Rob Cerny. Over at third base, Blake Wilson, who had the double with one out after Ziegler had struck out here in the bottom of the 8th. So with first base open, and Sean Pinkleton, the leading hitter on Harrisburg, another high school unique rule on the intentional walk. The batter doesn't have to look at 4 balls on the outside. They can make the indication to the umpire, and he automatically gets first base.
That's what they got to do here. They're going to intentionally walk Pilkington.
So Pilkington gets the intentional walk, IW, in your book, and the bases are loaded. Bottom of the 8th. We're in extra innings. The big ballpark of Lanphier in Springfield, our state capital, Illinois. It's been a beautiful week for baseball, weather-wise. The coolest night of the week right now, but these two evenly played teams. Jay Thompson in the state finals for the first time in the history of Harrisburg High School. Let's check the runners. Over at third is Wilson. McGowan over at second, and Pilkington over at first, and the hitter, Brandon Joggers.
He'll put the bat on the ball.
Joggers, the 394 hitter. He's going to bunt, squeeze him home. They get the runner caught between third, and they get him out. The runner is caught between third and home, as Joggers did not get his bat on the attempted squeeze bunt play. That is a gutsy call from Jay Thompson.
That is, you know, in this situation, it's not a bad play, but the batter's got to put the bat on the ball. The ball was up, and the catcher did the right thing. He ran him back, got the runner committed, and put the tag on him.
Newman, who plays a little football, got that forearm in there, and for a moment the third base umpire thought there might have been a little brouhaha, but nothing the third base runner, Blake Wilson, could do. He was caught with his socks down. So over at second base, still for Harrisburg, is McGowan.
On a play like that, your other runner's got to be going too, so they can move up on the base. There's another base hit.
Shot into right. Troy Wilson lets it go by. It's all over. Scoring from first.
Right there. He took his helmet off. That runner should have been out, and had been a third out in the ball game.
The umpires do not call it, Mike, and the ball game is over. The Harrisburg Bulldogs are the state champions of Illinois in Class AA for the first time in school history. The Bulldogs are taking it home to Southern Illinois. They win it 3-2 over Schaumburg. And it's party time in Springfield. The Schaumburg Saxons hugging their pitcher, Rob Cerny, pitched an admirable, gutty game.
That was a tremendous ball game. Both pitchers deserve, you know, that's a tough game to lose. They both pitched well throughout the whole ball game.
An RBI game-winning single by Brandon Joggers sends home Ryan McGowan from second base. And here in the bottom of the 8th, the Harrisburg Bulldogs of Coach Jay Thompson. There you see Jay with the glasses.
Watch the runner or the hitter on this play. I don't know if they'll show it, but he removes his helmet before reaching the base, before the play's even over. That's a dead ball call. That would have been a force out. You can't see it. He's got the helmet up after rounding first base.
Now, if he takes the helmet off after he rounds the base, but it's still legal, correct?
Well, you're not allowed to remove the helmet. Even rounding first base, the runner had not scored yet. And if the rule states that the runner must leave his helmet on. Now, that's a delayed dead ball call. All runners, until the play's over, and then they go back and call it. Now, that's a force out at first base.
Well, the Harrisburg Bulldogs, with their unique razor-cut haircuts, getting ready to accept their ribbons around their necks and the Class AA state trophy, and we'll have those presentations for you as Harrisburg wins the first extra inning game in 15 years, 3-2 over Schaumburg. We'll be back with more after these messages. Brian Bebout crying tears of joy. The Bulldogs are #1. Brian Bebout in the center of your screen, holding onto the game-winning baseball in his left hand, because that hand did a job tonight as he picks up his 13th victory of the year against no defeats. He has won 2 games here in the tournament this week, the quarterfinal victory over Andrews Tinley Park High School. And boy, this Harrisburg Bulldog team, what an effort. 32-1 on the season for Coach Jay Thompson. In his 8th year, wins his 171st game. And for the Schaumburg Saxons of Coach Paul Groot, they close out an admirable season at 25-11. And a state runner-up trophy, Mike McDonald, is nothing to be ashamed about when you take it home.
No, when you get here and you get to this championship ball game, you know you're going to come home with some hardware, whether it be first place or second place, and you just hope that you play respectable and you don't embarrass yourself in a type of ball game, and no team here can be embarrassed. It's a tremendously played ball game.
Statistician Chris Gallus.
As they make the trophy and medal presentations, let's take you down to our Lanford Park public address announcer, Rick Pychek.
Number 3, Mike Saposi. Number 4, Jeff Schultz. Number 5, Tim Litwin. Number 6, Mario Nelson. Number 8, Greg Schultz.
What a great honor this is for the mid-suburban league, though. They take home trophies from the championship game as the state champion or the state runner-up in 4 consecutive years. Barrington, state runner-up the last 2 years, 10, the state champion 3 years ago, and of course Schaumburg here, the runner-ups here in 1989.
It could have been very easily that they could have went home with a winner.
Number 13, Mark Levine.
Like I said earlier, it's just tremendous ball game. It's a great spectator game to watch, and a good pitching duel.
Number 16, Greg Tom Granzinger.
You have to go back
Number 16,
a few years to see that kind of dominance by one conference, and we talked about this during the Class A tournament.
20, Jerry Wetzel. Number
certain conferences down in the southwestern part of Illinois, around the
number 21, Jeff
St. Louis area, have dominated the small schools for years,
22,
and of course,
Jim
even in
McCall.
AA.
Number 25, Juan Reyes.
And as so appropriately, 2 communities,
26, Rob
totally
Cerny.
different backgrounds, completely different portions of the state, are here in the central part of the state, in the state capital of Springfield, to be a part of this magical moment, the Class AA High School Baseball Championships being held here for the 10th year in a row at Springfield's Lanford Park. And now it's time for the champions of Southern Illinois and of the entire state of Illinois, the Harrisburg Bulldogs, to be presented their medals and the state championship trophy.
Bulldogs of Harrisburg, who finished the 1989 season in first place with a final record of 32 wins and 1 loss.
Many of the Harrisburg officials,
Mr. Gary Gordon.
Principal Gary Gordon here to pick up a medal, and Jay Thompson. What a thrill Jay Thompson is going to have to take back to his twins for this one.
That'll be something he'll remember the rest of his life. It's, when you're playing in the state tournament and you get to the championship game and you win it, it goes by so quickly that you don't even realize it's happening. And, it hasn't really sunk in because you're playing 3 ball games in 2 days, and it's a tremendous experience, and that these kids will never forget, and I hope that the communities will recognize that when they get back, and they'll be very proud of these kids and what they have accomplished.
Well, We'll have one heck of a caravan going down the interstate highway back to Harrisburg, Illinois, because half the town looks like they're here in the ballpark tonight, and the other half, I know, will be welcoming the Bulldogs back with open arms. A community that really has been wonderfully supportive of their ball clubs throughout the years. In fact, many of the businessmen in the community have helped out with money to buy new equipment like a pitching machine, and I know your pitching arm is going out after having to do many of that yourself, so you know how valuable that can be to a coach and to a program. Many of the people in the community have helped bake goods and feed the team. And I guess that is what high school sports is all about.
It is.
Community wrapping itself around a team, boys and or girls, and in this case, the Harris Bulldogs. Bebop gets a big round of applause. What a gutty performance. Pitched 7 innings for a complete game quarterfinal victory over Andrew Tinley Park, and then came back here to capture the championship game against Schaumburg. 8 full innings. The Schaumburg Saxons, ladies and gentlemen, state runners-up in the Class AA baseball tournament. 108 schools started out, Mike. Schaumburg is only one of 2 that made it here. The Bulldogs can say they are indeed #1 in Illinois.
Harrisburg High School, 1989 Class AA state champion.
Well, Mike, you share this moment. You tied for 3rd as a senior at Pekin High School in '64 and were the coach for Morton in '84 when you won the whole shebang. What's the coach feeling down there right now?
Oh, it's really numbness, because you just can't believe that the season's over and you won the championship. It's just speechless, really.
You must have been frozen in the dugout when your ball club played the last play, like Coach Thompson probably was here, as the ball went through. Wilson on the right that sent the runner home. And that was the winning run for the Bulldogs as the ball went through, and just for the heck of it, a slide. Got to get that uniform dirty, and we're going home to Harrisburg with the state Class AA championship trophy and all the celebration that goes with it. We'll continue the celebrating from Lanphier Park in Springfield after these messages on Sports Channel. The first extra innings game since 1974 in the championship game is won on this hit in the bottom of the 8th. The Harrisburg Bulldogs go home as 3-2 winners over the Schaumburg Saxons to capture the Class AA baseball championship. The all-tournament team selected by the media covering the tournament: at first base, Al Satunis of Galesburg. Galesburg second baseman Jeremy Klein also made the team, along with third baseman Ryan McCoy of Schaumburg. At shortstop, Kevin Sethsick of Andrew. Schaumburg's Troy Smith is in the outfield along with Clementi's Clifton Garrett. Sean Pinkleton of Harrisburg, and Harrisburg's Robbie Nichols is the all-tournament catcher. The DH, Barry Garrett of Clementi, and the 2 all-tournament pitchers, Doug Schultes of Galesburg and Brian Bebout of Harrisburg. And not surprisingly, the MVP of this tournament, the winning pitcher for Harrisburg, Brian Bebout. Our next IHSA championship game will be tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for the boys' tennis finals. The executive producer for tonight's game, Danny DiCarlo. Tonight's game has been produced and directed by Lisa Stelter. Remote facilities provided by Trio Video of Chicago. Stay tuned for White Sox baseball at 7:30 when the Sox host the Minnesota Twins. For Mike McDonald, I'm Joe Passion. Once again, the final score: Harrisburg beat Schaumburg in 8 innings, 3-2.